Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. Today we're going to be taking another look at our Adventure Prank-Kids deck as we go into Season 8 here. Yeah, this is definitely one of the main decks that I'm going to be laddering with alongside Adventure 10E and probably a couple of other decks as well. This is going to be, I think this is going to end up being kind of my like fallback deck, quote unquote, where if I'm playing off screen and or I just, feel like finishing the grind and getting the Diamond 1 already, I'll probably just turn to Adventure Prank-Kids as this is definitely one of the more, if not the most, consistent decks, tier 1 decks out there, or tiered decks in general. In fact, its consistency really is what makes it tier 1. That is very much the name of the game with Adventure Prank-Kids. Now, last time we did a metagame analysis, we talked about how the consistency of Adventure Prank-Kids is really what makes it shine in the tournament format, and that's why you tend to see it so prevalently above all the other decks on the tier list on MasterDuelMeta.com. But it's really not just the tournament format where Adventure Prank-Kids shines. It's also on ladder as well. So even if you're looking just to play on ladder, which is how I play, the Adventure Prank-Kids deck is still a very, very good option to turn to. The Prank-Kids line typically only needs one card to get started, just any Prank-Kids monster, so that allows for a lot of flexibility in terms of both play and deck building, right? In terms of deck building, we're able to include not just the Adventure line that ends, of course, on the Omni-Negate of Wandering Gryphon Rider, but we're pretty easily able to include enough stuff in the main and extra deck to play Destroyer, Phoenix Enforcer as well. And really any deck that can make use of both DPE and Adventure cards honestly is already going to be like a tiered deck. Like I would say at least like Rogue status set. Any archetype that is able to make room for both packages is already going to find itself in a place where it can keep up with the meta relatively decently. The thing about Prank-Kids that's so explosively powerful and what makes it, I think, probably the strongest deck on Master Duel, both again in ranked ladder and tournament formats right now, is the fact that the additional archetypal plays that we're seeing on top of the quote-unquote generic in that they see a lot of play across different archetypes. The generic engines of DPE and the Adventure line is that the Prank-Kids line, again, requires minimal investment, just any one Prank-Kids monster, but ends on multiple board wipes in the form of Battle Butler. So this is honestly what kind of separates Adventure Prank-Kids from something like Tri-Brigade Zodiac right now, right? So in the past, especially when I first built Prank-Kids a few months ago, I really drew a lot of comparisons to Prank-Kids and Tri-Brigade as archetypes in how they function, right? Because they play very similarly in that they kind of like do a setup play on their turn, but don't finish doing the rest of the play till their opponent's turn, because finishing out the play involves some amount of disruption, right? With the Tri-Brigade deck, it involves flipping up Revolt, going into Shureg, banishing your opponent's card, and also getting a search and they send off of like Nerval and Kit, whereas with Prank-Kids, it's about flipping up the Pandemonium during your opponent's turn, fusing into the Battle Butler, getting 3 summons off of the Prank-Kids monsters, and then also on top of that, you get not just one, but multiple board wipes to your opponent's monsters, as there's almost no chance you won't have a Prank-Kids Meow Meow Moo in your graveyard. So you can banish that, wipe your opponent's board. If they come back and are able to make plays, you can still just tribute Battle Butler once again for another board wipe. You can even use Battle Butler multiple times in the same chain link. So if you like activate Battle Butler, banishing Meow Meow Moo as the cost, and then, or as instead of tributing it, and then your opponent responds with an effect to try to negate it, and you really want to wipe that board, you could just activate Battle Butler's effect again on the same chain link. So that is really the reason why Adventure Prank-Kids stands out among all the other adventure decks as like just, I wouldn't say like by and far, because there are still a lot of other adventure decks that are obviously tiered and competitive, but it's not hard to see that Adventure Prank-Kids does stand a decent ways a bit above them. And again, that's going to be because of the archetypes already low committal but high reward plays, in addition to the Adventure line, in addition to DBE right on top of that. So yeah, as far as like the ratioing goes, or as far as the build itself too, we're still using the same build that we showed off towards the end of Season 7 there, my like updated one. that came out actually, I think, less than a week ago at the time this video is coming out. I did see some comments asking, like, why aren't you maxing on Prank-Kids and using 3 Prank-Kids place instead? Because the place is susceptible to Ash, and that is actually kind of one of the reasons why I'm using 3 Prank-Kids place. It's not uncommon to open with place plus a Prank Kid monster, and like, yeah, ideally we like doing the 2 Prank Kids line a little bit more than the 1 Prank Kids line when we can, but I'd rather activate place, have it get Ash, and then normal summon Prank Kid anyway, and do the 1 Prank Kid line by far. So, yeah, I gotta take a sip of water here, excuse me. There we go. But yeah, so I just like having the Ash bait, basically. That's honestly why I play 3 Prank-Kids place. And that's also why the Adventure Engine is so helpful to Prank-Kids as an archetype, particularly, as opposed to some other decks that it is included in, but obviously didn't get as much of a power boost as Prank-Kids. The Ash Blossom is so hurtful when it comes to disrupting Prank-Kids combo lines. So having the adventure line to either bait out the Ash or put up the Gryphon Rider to negate the Ash is definitely like invaluable. Whereas before we had to rely on like 3 Crossout Designators, which we are still playing 2, but yeah, with the inclusion of adventure stuff, we definitely don't need to fall back on responses like that quite as much. Okay, I think that covers, I think between this and also if you feel like checking out that last video, you can check that out for additional gameplay as well. But I think that about covers what I want to go over with the deck. So now we'll go through the list card by card and then move into some gameplay. This gameplay is going to be from like the very end of Season 7 when I was practicing up for the start of Season 8. But I believe starting tomorrow, we'll actually start seeing some Season 8 gameplay. So anyway, we are playing 1 Effect Veiler, 2 Prank-Kids Fansies, 3 Maxx, 3 Prank-Kids Dropsies, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 Prank-Kids Lampsies, 2 Water Enchantress of the Temple, 1 Destiny Hero Celestial, 2 Prank-Kids Rocksies, 1 Destiny Hero Dasher, 1 Wandering Gryphon Rider, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Foolish Burial, 2 Fusion Destiny, 2 Rite of Aramesir, 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon, 3 Prank-Kids Place, 1 Prank-Kids Pranks, 1 Fateful Adventure, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Prank-Kids Pandemonium, 2 Crossout Designator, and 2 Infinite Impermanence. Extra deck is going to contain 1 Prank-Kids Rocket Ride, 1 Prank-Kids Weather Washer, 1 Prank-Kids one Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, not Prank-Kids Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Oh god, could you imagine? 1 Prank-Kids Battle Butler, 2 Link Spider, 2 Prank-Kids Meow Meow Moo, 2 Prank-Kids Doodle Doodle Doo, 1 Prank-Kids Bow Wow Bark, 1 Predaplant Vert Anaconda, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Prank-Kids Rip Roaring Roaster, and then finally 1 Access Code Talker. Okay, yep, now that we have established all the cards that are in this build, let's go ahead and take a look at some gameplay now. So our first match here is going to be against Live Twin, which is actually another deck I'll probably ladder with a little bit. Even though it's not like nearly as strong as something like Adventure Prank-Kids, I have enough fun with that deck that, yeah, I definitely just want to play with it more, so... We're going to go second here, and as you can see, we got like a very ideal going second hand. I mean, just any hand where you open Maxx and Ash is an ideal going second hand, right? But we also opened the Prank-Kids Place, the Rite, and the Wandering Gryphons, so that's definitely not a bad setup starting off there. We're going to Ash the Desires, which did turn out to be Ash bait, as the opponent then summons the Kiss-a-Keel. I'm definitely going to use Maxx in response. Obviously, had I known they had a Kiss-a-Keel in hand, I would just save the Ash for that. But again, the Desires was very likely Ash bait. Although the opponent doesn't play Into the Sea at all, not that I blame them. They'll just stop after getting the Leela treat. So, going to use the place to test for Ash here. Does not look like they have it. So, activating Rite of Aramesir. I'm definitely going to chain the Gryphon Rider to get the summon in so as not to get them a draw, but they've got a Solemn Strike, so no Wandering Gryphon Rider, though that does at the very least take care of that back row, so we don't have to worry about that. So we are under Maxx, definitely have to be mindful of that, but I'm not super worried about it here, because basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to summon this token, give them their 1 draw, then I'll normal the Rocksies, and then I'm just going to battle over their Live Twin monsters on board, right? I've got my own Maxx for Retaliation in hand, and yeah, I just don't want to give them a whole ton of draws to not OTK them, because that is the one thing about Prank-Kids that, generally speaking, unless you're going for a certain line, it's kind of hard to OTK, kind of out of nowhere, so... Although knowing me and my luck, I bet I could have actually OTK'd. But the other thing is too, like, that gives you their opponent so many summons, like, enough that it's definitely not out of the world of possibility for them to draw Nibiru. And even though they tend not to, it's definitely not impossible for Live Twin to be playing even like 2 Nibirus. So here the opponent does, once again, does not go off as soon as I play Maxx. Here I might have been like a little bit more inclined to if I was my opponent, but I don't know. Maybe it's could also depend on what their back row is and how confident they might have felt about their monsters surviving or just surviving until the next turn in general. But Dracoback's able to bounce one of them without really any issue there, and that's enough to make me feel better about just starting to go into the Prank-Kids line. I'll even start with Rocksies, which I don't normally do because I already had them on the excuse me there, because I already had them on board. So alright, so then we go into the Doodle-Doodle-Doo. Now we're seeing more just kind of standard Prank-Kids stuff. I'm kind of like apprehensively doing this, yeah, because I'm waiting for a response. My opponent does have another Solemn Strike, so there is that. Here I see them at 4,500, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the 2 Live Twins on board while also still doing a decent amount of damage. And I figured the best way to do that was to go into of course, the Vert, and then into DPE himself. So that's just not another, but that is one of many ways in which Link Spider, as you saw there, is very useful. Is that because of the Link Spider in the extra deck, we got to send the token away, and then our 2 kind of awkward monsters on board, we're actually able to make the Vert and DPE here. And the opponent is more or less in top deck mode. I mean, they've got the 1 card in hand, but it hasn't helped them out to this point, so I can't imagine it'll be too helpful going forward. Even if they do have something kind of scary, we have both Maxx and Nibiru in hand, so there's nothing like too scary they'll end up doing here, I'm sure. And yeah, after that they try to send a Snitch, but then concede. I don't know if they just realized that, like, I'll just pop whatever they summon, or I could have popped Sunny's Snitch in response, but nope, opponent just concedes before I was really able to do any of that. So, alright, that's going to be it for that game. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next one. Game number 2 here ended up being against Altergeist. And I'm trying to remember if I went first or second. Well, I mean, we're going to find out here in a moment, but I actually don't recall off the top of my head. Okay, looks like I was going second on this one. So, yeah, going second against Altergeist can be a little bit scary, but you can see our opening hands have been pretty consistently good so far. So, let's go to some of the Multi-Faker. The Marionetta, rather. I'm definitely going to imperm this because if I can prevent my opponent from sending up the Protocol, I believe is the one that negates monster effects, that's the main one I'm concerned about. So, just want to make sure that stays off the board so that my monster effects aren't getting messed up with. Or getting messed up, rather. Getting messed with? Yeah, you know what I mean. Alright, so Imperm is going to cause the Marionetta to fizzle. And the opponent has a duality, revealing Fusion Destiny, the Spoofing, and the Manifestation, but not the Protocol, so that's definitely a relief. They end up adding the Manifestation and then setting forward passing, so now I'm just still here freaking out like, okay, cool, they probably still have the Protocol anyway, but I don't think they actually do if I remember right. I am definitely going to summon the Gryphon Rider during the end phase so as to avoid any back rows my opponent might have that might stop it. So here, you might notice me activating Foolish Burial, even though I've already got Water Enchantress of the Temple in hand. But the reason I'm doing that is just to bait cards out. I've talked about this a little bit before, but when it comes to having like multiple ways to search the thing you need, or having the thing you need and a way to search for it, I tend to still like to activate the Searcher card anyway, just to make sure that you know, the effect ends up going through at one point or another, or to also maybe bluff and kind of add what's the word I'm looking for? Not redundancy, but oh jeez, I just lost track of my whole train of thought there midway through. But in any case here, opponent's gonna try to bounce me with Silquatus, but nope, I'm definitely just gonna go ahead and negate and destroy that, shuffle my Gryphon Rider back into the deck. I definitely remember how annoying that card was, so. At this point, the opponent's going to play a Solemn Judgment, which actually, ironically for me, kind of opens up this game to being a lot more... Well, I guess it's not that ironic, but, you know, I'm really not super scared of these back rows if my opponent's going to have to Solemn Judgment to stop me from making, you know, relatively basic plays like that. That is definitely something that is a-okay with me. And then, yeah, the opponent just concedes as soon as they add the Wandering Gryphon Rider, because they realize the same thing that I did, which is, oh, I can search up this Gryphon Rider, and then when I do, I can even special it, because it might be easy to think like, oh, you already had Gryphon Rider up during your turn, so you can't special anymore. But it's like, no, we actually brought out the Gryphon Rider at the end of the opponent's turn, so I can still summon this one. I just can't Omni-Negate. And then opponent seems like they realize that as well, as they then concede after I bring out the Gryphon Rider there. Okay, so yep, that's all for that one. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next game. All right, this game is going to be against Dragon Link, which is a deck that I actually pretty recently covered, and it's probably going to end up being, I'm going to be totally honest, it'll probably end up being one of those ones that I only end up coming back to every now and then, as I very much like that deck, but I very much need to spend like a dedicated amount of time learning it, and trying to feature and play all the other decks that I want to play and feature in addition to doing that. It's not impossible by any means, definitely not, but I can't vouch for how likely it is. Oh, so here I actually made a minor misplay with the Fateful Adventure. I was supposed to wait until... Sorry, I was supposed to wait to activate the effect until I was bringing out Meow Meow Moo, and then I could bring the... then I could bring the Draco back to my hand, and that effect would have chain blocked the Prank-Kids effect, but it doesn't really end up mattering. Oh my god, my throat. I'm so sorry. Hang on. Whew, excuse me. I was gonna say hopefully that's a little bit better. I don't think it is too much. I saw a comment actually asking if I was feeling under the weather on a recent video. No, it's mostly just because just the way that my real life schedule works out, I kind of have to batch record these, and so by the time I'm getting closer to like the tail end of videos I'm batch recording, I've been talking all night. Plus I've usually been talking all night anyway, so yeah, by the time I get to the last videos I have to record, my voice gets a little bit hoarse. But anyway, the only thing I was going to say there was that our opponent didn't end up having Ash, so it didn't really end up mattering. But I mean, that's still obviously not a reason to justify the misplay. We still should have definitely saved the Fateful Adventure activation for the Meow Meow moves. So those of you who, by the way, have not seen the combo guide or recent videos and are unfamiliar with like what you can do with 2 Prank-Kids monsters, this line that you've been watching is a just a telltale example of that, where we're gonna end on I've seen it referred to as the triple board wipe combo, where basically what that means is we're gonna have Ripborn Roaster and Battle Butler out, as well as a Meow Meow Moo in graveyard, so we can wipe both the opponent's monsters and spell and traps, and we can do either again. Usually the monsters is the one you want to use the Meow Meow Moo on. You don't want to Meow Meow Moo to save Ripborn Roaster, the most of the time anyway, so. Skip using the Dodo Dodo Do to add back the Lampsies and the Pandemonium. And then even though I've already used the adventure stuff this turn, I'm still going to go ahead and use the Fateful Adventure to add the, or to send the Enchantress, and then add the Rite just to make my deck a little bit more consistent. It's only 1 card, so it's not like it's like a huge difference, but all the help, all the little bit of helps you can get, right? Alright, so opponent's got their own Rite. I'm going to respond with Maxx. And then I'm also going to flip up the Pandemonium, because usually I just like to send the Battle Butler onto the board as soon as possible, making sure that I'm stopping combos. Typically, if you're going to interrupt a combo, unless you obviously draw the disruption like mid-combo, it's better to do it earlier on, before they've had a chance to like search or sculpt their hand. By sculpting their hand, I mean like, discarding cards to draw cards, or discarding cards to search cards, or just searching and drawing in general. If you can stop those early resources and you're able to comfortably do so, then I definitely think it's worth it, because that just leaves your opponent with less of the cards they already opened with, instead of less cards, but cards that they definitely wanted, right? So I'm going to use one of the board wipes here from Battle Butler in order to just secure the board, as well as obviously that fusion, very nice for getting my own monsters in play. Okay, yes, here is the Striker Dragon, of course, because they sent the Red Eyes Darkness, the Black Metal Dragon. They're going to then be able to add the Red Eyes Darkness Battle Dragon. That's right. But my plan right now is just board wipe again, kind of as soon as those come down. Oh no, that's right. I actually did have 2 board wipes here still, as far as monsters go, so. Yeah, we managed to get that one out of the way. I know there's another one coming, but, you know, again, with the Meow Meow Moo and the Battle Butler, I also know that it's not going to be that big of a deal. Because even if they do manage to push through, I've still got my Prank-Kids in defense mode. I've got, you know, you look at my hand is pretty phenomenal. Like, yeah, there's, there was pretty much no way I wasn't coming back there. Okay, I think we've got one more game, I'm pretty sure. Should be. Let's go and jump straight into it. Indeed, yes, it was one more game against Adventure Phantom Knight. So let's go ahead and dive on into this one here. Alright, looks like we are going second again, but we opened to Maxx, so that's definitely not bad. Again, like I mentioned earlier too in the profile, I definitely enjoy the redundancy of opening both fansies in place, or just a Prank-Kids in a place in general, as it makes good ash bait, but I guess the Maxx also made it fairly decent ash bait here. I'm just going to have to hope the opponent doesn't end on anything too scary, as I don't really have any other interaction in my hand. Okay, so it looks like they end up using the Gryphon Rider as a material here alongside these Silent Boots. Just to go for Vert Anaconda. So yeah, they weren't able to do anything scary at all. Only ending on a DPE. Oh yeah, looks like one of the, I think it was Celestial there, was one of the cards in their hand. So it looks like the opponent actually opened a relatively dead hand here, but yeah, and Prank-Kids Adventure is the same way. It definitely speaks for how good your deck is when opening something like DPE is considered like a dead hand, right? Because, yeah, DPE, definitely still a very, very, very good card. We like drawing this Crossout Designator quite a bit. I'm going to activate the place. Opponent's not going to respond, so I'll add the Dropsies. And now I'm going to use the Water Enchantress as bait. Yeah, before getting the Rite of Aramesir. Going to activate that next, as well as, of course, Fateful Adventure. And this is the point where the opponent is going to activate DPE. Totally fine with that, as that has nothing to do with my Prank-Kids line, so that is A-okay with me. And since our opponent's got a monster, we actually get to chain block the first Prank-Kids. Again, not the opponent has any cards in hand, but I guess their back row card. I'm trying to think actually of back row cards where chain blocking matters. I'm sure there is one, I'm just not thinking of it outside of my head. I'm sure there's like a really popular one, I bet. But in any case, you know, the opponent is still not yet responded, so that's definitely what we like to see. And then at this point, yeah, we can Pandemonium for the Rocket Ride. Kind of going for the, like, 2 Prank-Kids line here. Oh, yeah, we get to completely chain block it up here because we got the Rocket Ride, which already acts in actual chain block. But then we've even got the place that chain blocks that, so gotta love it, of course, gotta love it. Yeah, basically, I think I'm just going to try to go for game this turn, honestly, is what I'm trying to do here. Because my opponent's at 5,500, and it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility, especially given that my opponent's already used the DPE effect as well. Yeah, I should have actually gone... Well, here's the thing. By using the Pandemonium, I actually locked myself into only Prank-Kids monsters for most of the turns, so... Not most of the turn, the rest of the turn, so... Can only summon the pranks. Oh yeah, and then in case you're wondering, these... Things summon off of Rocket Ride can't attack, so if you're wondering, like, wait, did you just, like, throw lethal there? No, don't worry, I didn't. Now, granted, I did actually forget that, you know, mid-game. I did, you know, actually read Rocket Ride and realize, like, oh, they can't attack, so... Yeah, in that regard, there probably was just a smarter play to make, but... Okay, adding all of the quote-unquote main Prank-Kids. I say main because they're the ones that make Butler. Alright, so... Oh, they opened Fateful Adventure. That's actually pretty rough, because that means... Actually, that doesn't mean anything, because they're not going to get to add the Gryphon Rider, because they can't... They don't have a card to discard. They can't get the I think they also used Gryphon right at the very beginning, right? Yeah. Alright, yep, getting all of our effects off and even chain blocking it with the place right at the end. Gotta love it. Just another reason why the Prank-Kids are so powerful is that, like, so many of their effects can be chain blocked so easily, especially with the inclusion of Fateful Adventure, chain blocking those early plays, which were obviously not only some of the more vital ones, but also some of the more difficult ones to stop. Oh yeah, and of course my opponent can DPE the Crossout Designator here. That is definitely not an issue with me. There it is, the lone Dracoback. Okay, they're summoning the water Enchantress. Oh, and they're going to use Fog Blade. That's right, this is where they make a Link 3. And I actually debated really hard right here when they summoned this first Silent Boots if I wanted to use Battle Butler. But as soon as they summoned the second one, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely using the Butler here. And of course, yeah, I can't help but deny them the last search right there at the end. Well, I don't want a Fog Blade messing me up, so not that I think it will. I've just got the token. I can just smack with that, but oh, of course, that's straight off the bat. I gotta get rid of DPE first, huh? See, I'm gonna start by making a doodle doodle do, but rather than continue to link climb with adventure stuff, I'm just gonna kind of use this as an excuse to go into Nightmare Unicorn, basically. But the opponent just concedes at this point anyway. I'm not trying to make any things any more difficult, I guess, there. So definitely, we definitely appreciate that on our end. Okay, so that's all for the games we've got. Let's go ahead and move now to the outro. Alright everybody, thank you for watching all the way to the very end like this. I greatly appreciate that, and definitely look forward to more Adventure Prank-Kids content, especially as we ladder here in the beginning of Season 8. And then there's also, right, we have a Duelist Cup event coming up from the 9th to the 22nd, so depending on how well it goes with Adventure Prank-Kids, and I don't know if you'll be able to use more than one deck for that. If we can only use one deck, that's definitely going to be a decision that I'm going to have to think long and hard about. But Adventure Prank-Kids is definitely a contender for that deck, and if you can use multiple decks, it'll definitely be one of the decks I use for the Duelist Cup as well. So either way, definitely look forward to seeing more Adventure Prank-Kids in the near future. I'm definitely also thankful to those who are commenting and subscribing. Comments, love to get feedback from you about builds, about gameplay. Definitely feel free to chime in about either or both. I would love to hear from you about that. And subscribing, yep, is obviously a good way to support. And also a great way to get notifications of when my videos go out, which is every day. So if you subscribe, you do get daily Master Duel content from me. But that is going to be all the time that I have for this video. So once again, thank you for watching. But without further ado, this is Hexlex signing out. I hope you guys have a fantastic day.